Hello, today we are going to talk about domain and range. Okay, domain is going to be our x values. Okay, range is going to be our y values. So if we have a point 4 comma -3, the 4, okay, which is my x value, is called my domain, and -3, which is my y value, is also called my range. Sometimes domain, your x value, is also called your input. Okay, that's the number you're going to put into something. And what you get out is going to be your y value or your range, which is also called your output. Okay. So if we have a set of points and we wanted to list our domain, okay, which is going to be our x values, okay, we just do this little squiggly line, okay, and we list them. So on the first point we have 4. Second one's -3, -1, and 0. Okay, there's all my domains, are my x values. Okay. My range, okay, are my y values. Okay, are going to be 3, 9, 6, and 2. Okay. So your domain are your x values and your range are your y values. Let's try that again. Okay. So my domain, okay, are all going to be all my x values. So I have 4, -1. Okay. There's 4 again. I already have 4 listed, so I don't need to do that again. All right, and 0. Okay. So there's my domain. Okay. My range is going to be my y values. 3. There's a 3 again. I already have it written down, so I don't need to do that again. 0. Okay. Oh, and there's another 3. So my range or my y values are 3 and 0. Okay. All right, let's look at it on a mapping. Okay. If you remember from Monday, this is called a mapping, and this is actually one of the easier ways to find your domain and range. Here, my domain is already listed for me. Okay, my domain is my x values, and remember on a mapping, your x values are always in the first circle and your y values, okay, are in the second one. So my domain would be 4, 6, and -3. Okay. And my range, okay, would be 2, do a little squiggly line, 1, and 6. Okay, are my y values, are my range. All right. Let's look at it on a graph. Okay, on a graph, there's a couple ways to do it. Well, one of the easiest ways to do it is to actually list the points. So we're going to take this first point here, and this is at 4, 1. Okay, so my domain, okay, is the 4. My range is the 1. Okay, so we have this point, which is 0, 4. So my domain is my x value. My range is my y value. Okay. All right, we're going to go down here. This is at 2, -2. So the 2 is my domain, and the -2 is my range. All right. Now here we have -3, 0. So the -3, which is my x value, is my domain, and 0 is my y value, and that's my range. Okay, and then our last point is at -3, -2. Okay, so my x value is -3. Oops, that's -4. I forgot about that. Okay, and -3 is already listed, so I don't need to list it again. And then my y value or my range is -2, and it's already on the list too. So I don't have to list either one of those. So for this group of points, my domain's 4, 0, 2, and -3, and my range is 1, 4, -2, and 0. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Okay. So here we have our first point, which is at 6, 0. So I'm going to list my domain. And remember, in domain and range, you don't repeat. If you already have the number in your domain and range, don't repeat it. Okay, so here my domain is 6, my range is 0. Okay. My next point is 1, 1. Domain is 1. Range is 1. This one is like -3, 4. Okay, so my domain is -3, range is 4, and my last one, we're going to say, well, it's not the last one, -1, -3. Okay, so my domain is -1, and my range is -3. Oops. Let's try that again. Okay, and then this one is 1, -3. So my domain is 1, which I already have, so we're good there. And my range is -3. We already have that one too, so we're good on that. So there's our list of our domain and range. Alright, now we're going to find the range if we're given the function 3x plus 2 for the domain is -3, 1, and 4. Okay, so remember the domain is going to be our x values, and they're giving those to us. Okay, so they're giving us our x values. Okay, on this one we have to plug our x value into our function f of x equals 3x plus 2. So our x value is going to go in to replace the x. Okay, so we have to do this 3 times because they're giving us 3 values for our domain, which remember is our input. Okay, so if we input our x value into the problem, what's our output? Okay, so we have 3x plus 2. Okay, our first one is -3, so I'm going to replace the x with -3. Okay, and you can do this in your head, you can do this in the calculator, but 3 times -3 is -9, plus 2 is -7. So if I have an input of -3, my output is -7. Okay, now I need to do the same thing with the 1. Okay, so 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So if I have an input of 1, my output is 5. And now we're going to do 4. If you notice, the only thing changing is my x value. Okay, that's the only thing that's changing. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So my range, okay, our little squiggly line, is -7, 5, and 14. Okay. Let's try that one again. Alright, so now we're going to find the range of the function -2x plus 1 for the domain -3, -1, 0, and 2. And remember, your domain is your x values. Okay, so we have -2x plus 1, okay, and we are going to replace our x value, okay, with -3. So -2, I'm going to replace the x with -3, and then I'm going to add 1. So -2 times -3 is a positive 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay. Now I'm going to do -1. -2, replace the x with -1. So we got -2 plus -1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. Okay, that was that one. Now we're going to 0. -2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And then our last one, -2 times 2 plus 1 equals, okay, -2 times 2 is -4, plus 1 is -3. Okay, so my range, okay, is 7, 3, 1, and -3. Alright, let's do another one. This one we have the function is 1/3 x plus 2, and we're going to replace -6, -4, 0, and 5. Now, don't freak out because there's a fraction. Remember, 1/3 is also 1 divided by 3. A fraction is just a division problem. So I have 1/3. I'm going to replace -6. Okay. Now remember that can be -1 times -6. Okay, which is -6 divided by 3 is -2 plus 2 equals 0. Okay. Now 1/3, I'm going to replace it with -4. Okay. Now 1/3 plus -4 is -4/3. So I have -4/3, and I have to add 2. Remember, we need a common denominator. So this is 2/1. Okay. Get a common denominator, so that's going to be a 3, which makes that 6. So I have -4 plus 6, which is 2/3. Okay. Now we're going to do 0. Okay, 1/3 times 0 plus 2 is 2. And then we're going to do 5. So it's 1 times 5, okay, over 3, plus 2. Let's get a common denominator again, which is going to be 3, which is 6. So we have 5 plus 6 is 11 over 3. So here my range is 0, 2/3, 2, and 11/3. Couple things to remember. Your domain, okay, is your x values or your input. Okay. Your range is your y values or your output. Okay. Have a great day and we'll see you in class.